Hi everybody, Arian from IgnitePOST here. Welcome back, and today I am really excited to walk through how to use Klaviyo's brand new webhooks functionality in conjunction with IgnitePOST. So if you haven't played around with it yet, Klaviyo recently released their webhooks ability, and it's very, very powerful. Essentially, what webhooks allow you to do is to trigger almost anything you want from a Klaviyo workflow. So if you wanted to, from a certain point in the flow, you could trigger a post request that then kicks off a series of other actions, super powerful. If you wanted to, you could literally turn on your toaster if you have a connected toaster from a Klaviyo flow. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Maybe you have a connected toaster and really like toast. In any case, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk through how to do something a little bit more useful, which is sending a real pen and ink handwritten card from IgnitePOST from a Klaviyo flow using their webhooks. So the first thing you're going to do is actually start on your IgnitePOST dashboard. So we're actually going to start by building a letter on the IgnitePOST dashboard using our card editor, and then you're going to trigger that from a Klaviyo flow exactly when you need it sent using their webhooks. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by logging into IgnitePOST, and then you're going to go up to the top here and click Letter Templates. I have a number of letter templates set up. If you don't, just click Create Letter Template. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pre-made letter template. So I have this letter template on IgnitePOST called Churn Prevention. And essentially what this is I want this card triggered when Klaviyo indicates that someone has entered a flow that I have set up that, based on the user behavior, indicates that that person might be a churn risk. And what we're going to do is we're going to send them a handwritten card thanking them for their business, and we're going to give them an offer to extend their subscription at that point that they might be a churn risk. So this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to use the IgnitePOST editor here. So as you see, I just named my letter template Churn Prevention. So this is my churn prevention card. I can set a bunch of default values ahead of time. So I have the return address, which is going to be written on the outside of the envelope, already pre-configured. And then if I come down here, I can actually type out the message I want. So I'm going to say, hi, first name. We love having you as a customer. Hope you're enjoying the product as much as we like making it. As a thank you, here's a coupon code for 15% off your next 3 months of your subscription. And as you see, it's very easy to kind of design the card here visually. So if I wanted to say summer 15, I could also change it to, winter 2022 or whatever we want. So this is a easy way to visually design what the card is going to look like. And I recommend that everybody actually uses this card designer on IgnitePOST for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can see what the message is going to say. You can play around with the handwriting styles so that you can pick the one that you like the best or most closely matches your brand or your own handwriting style. And then three is, as you see here, there's a limited number of characters. So because we have a limited space in the card that we're writing, it's not like an email where you can just go on and on forever. So for those reasons, I recommend to stick with and use the card editor here. So I'm just going to pick this handwriting style because I like it. So we'll set this up as the default message that we want to say. One thing to note is when we actually trigger this from the Klaviyo flow, we can overwrite this at that time. So this is just kind of the default value that gets set up. At the time that we trigger it, we're going to insert some personalization, some merge fields at that time. So we don't have to worry about that right now, but it is good to kind of visually get everything set up as you want it here. And then same thing on the card design. So you have full reign to upload any image you want for the front of your card that's going to be sent. We have a couple of default values just here in our card library. So if you want to scroll through and pick something in the card library, you can upload your logo, you can upload anything you want. So as an example, I have a QR code that folks can scan that will take them directly to the offer that I talk about in my card message. So I'm happy now, so I'm going to click update or create. So now I have this churn prevention card that's created on IgnitePOST. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go over to Klaviyo and I'm going to use their webhooks to trigger this card right from a flow exactly when I need it sent. So if I dive into my Klaviyo dashboard, this is just a demo flow that I have set up. But you can imagine I have this flow set up so that when someone exhibits behavior that I think they're about to churn from my subscription, the user gets put in this flow, and then it gets kicked off. And so I take a look and see, has the user placed an order in the last 30 days? If so, great. I just send them an email thanking them for their order. I can do whatever I want. If they don't, then that's when I really want to use this card that I just set up. So what I'm going to do now is right here in this area, I want to trigger the handwritten card that I have set up. And I'm going to use webhooks to do that. So it's pretty simple to do so. Over on the left-hand side here, you see that there is a webhook action. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to drag it over to exactly where I want it sent. So right there is exactly where I'd want this card sent. And so the first thing I'll do is I'm going to come and I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to rename this, let's see, churn prevention handwritten card. There we go. Okay, so now if you have any questions at all about how to do any of this, we actually have a very nice blog post that walks you through all of the steps you need to set up this webhook. So the first thing it asks me is add the destination URL. Well, luckily, if I dive into our nice help article here and I scroll down to the point where we are setting up this webhook, you'll see that we provide the exact URL that you need to use. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to bring that over here, paste that in. So that is basically the IgnitePOST API orders endpoint that you're going to be using. Then it asks you for the headers. So again, if you take a look at our nice help article here, you'll see that under the header section, we want to use the X token as the key in the header. So I'm going to paste X token there. And then it asks you for the value. So the value for the token is actually going to be the API key from IgnitePOST. So it's very easy to go and grab that. So if I dive back into IgnitePOST, my dashboard, if I scroll over my initials in the top right-hand side and then click on API keys, it will show me all of the API keys I have set up. If this is the first time you're doing this and you don't have an API key, just hit create an API key and we will generate one for you. I have one that I have set up for Klaviyo as just a test key. So I'm going to click show. I'm going to copy this entire key. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it. One thing that I should also note is that sometimes when you copy and paste from a browser, it will bring in some unwanted characters. So it's actually a pretty good idea to go in and say paste and match style. There we go, paste and match style. Awesome. So now I have my key and my value set up. The next thing is to actually customize what we want sent in the handwritten card that we're sending. So again, if you use our handy help article here, when it asks you for the JSON body section of the webhook, you can actually copy and paste this entire section that we give you here. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete everything that was currently there, and then I'm going to say paste and match style. And if you use the section of text that we give you on the help article, a lot of it you'll see is pre-filled with the correct values. So you can now pull in values from your Klaviyo records and use that to personalize the message. So what we're going to do is I'll walk you through this JSON body step by step and kind of show you what everything means. So the first thing it asks you for is the letter template ID. So obviously, for us to be able to send the correct letter that you have set up on the IgnitePOST dashboard, you have to tell us what template you wish to send. That's easy to find. So if I navigate back to the IgnitePOST dashboard and I find the letter template that I want to send, which is this churn prevention template, I'm going to click view. And if you look up at the URL, the last part of the URL, there's a set of numbers. So this is 1873. That is the ID of this letter template. So in Klaviyo, I'm going to put 1873 as the letter template ID in between quotes. So now that lets IgnitePOST know that when this webhook is triggered at this point in the flow, you wish to send that churn prevention card. So they're now connected. From here, the only thing left to do is to really personalize the contents of the message itself. So if you see the message that we want to send is, hi so-and-so, love having you as a customer, hope you're enjoying the product as much as we like making it. As a thank you, here's the coupon code, etc. So if you want to change this, remember, it's going to overwrite. So the values that you have here will overwrite anything that you have set up prior on the IgnitePOST dashboard. So I think we wanted to change this code to instead something like winter. 2022. So I have hi first name. So this is actually going to pull the first name from the record from Klaviyo. So we're going to personalize it. So again, you get the idea. You can kind of go through and change these as much as you want, but that's how you would personalize the message and change the message. The handwriting style that we want to use. So again, this will overwrite it. So I chose the P handwriting style. I think when I set it up, I used Nelson. So if I want to match that, I just have to include that here. And then what you'll do is simply go line by line and make sure that the correct values are inserted in the webhook at the appropriate points. So for recipient name, I'm going to include the recipient first name and last name, because these are the fields that are now going to be used to address the envelope so that it gets to the correct recipient. So recipient name, recipient company if you have it. Again, all of these are profile properties. You can click this link here and look up what those profile properties are. But anything that you can use to customize, let's say an email, you can also pull in and use to customize this handwritten card that's going to be sent as well. So we are basically going line by line, filling in the recipient name, the recipient address 1, recipient address 2, with the correct variables pulled in from Klaviyo. Same thing with the recipient city and the recipient state, recipient zip, recipient email. So again, if you use our template, you shouldn't really have to edit those because those by default should pull in the correct fields. And then for the sender name and sender address, those are the return address values that are going to be used on the outside of the envelope. So if you do want to change those, you can change those obviously here. Again, anything that you put here will overwrite the default values that you have set up. So make sure that whatever information you put here is what you actually want to be used on the outside of the envelope. So that's it. So we go line by line and write in the correct values that we want to use. And then Klaviyo gives you a very handy way to preview what things will look like. So if I click preview, I can hit search for profile and I can type in any profile of any user that is currently saved in my Klaviyo database. I'm just going to leave it as myself. So what you come down here and do is say test, send test request. So if I click that, Klaviyo will send a test request. And as long as you get a 200 code, which is 201, the test was successful. You'll get an error message here. I'm not sure why it comes up as an error. 201 is a successful code. So what basically happens now is that means that Klaviyo reached out and sent a test request to our servers at IgnitePOST. And what happens is at IgnitePOST, we will actually send you an email with a preview of what that message will have looked like. So if you scroll down here, what you'll see when you trigger one of those test responses or test webhooks, you will get an email in whatever email account you use to sign up for IgnitePOST, and it will look something like this. It'll say test order preview. It will tell you the message contents that it received. So if you use merge variables, you can make sure that everything is pulling over correctly. It will show you the image for the front of the card that was sent that we would have been used. So if you accidentally connected the wrong template, you'll see that here because the wrong image will be used. Otherwise, you can confirm that the right one is used. And it will also show you a preview of what the message itself, the handwritten message in the card, will look like. So by default, all of our API keys are all in test mode. So if you see, none of these keys are actually live. So that means that you can trigger those webhooks as many times as you want. And every time you trigger a webhook, it will send you an email with this preview. So the idea is you can test it out as much as you want. So basically the flow that we see a lot of folks do is they'll set up the webhook, send some tests, make sure that everything looks right, tweak things that don't quite look right or values that haven't pulled through correctly, send another couple tests until they get it looking perfect, exactly how they want it. And then when everything is perfect, there's a couple things to do. One is obviously you need to turn on your API key at IgnitePOST so that we know to start actually sending orders that you send us. The only way to do that is to email us. So obviously email support@ignitepost.com and we will turn on your API key. The second thing to do is to go back into your Klaviyo Flow. Once you get your webhook set up the way you want, obviously you want to hit save. So that saves your webhook. And then if you notice, all of the webhooks are in draft mode here. So you want to turn this live. So obviously anybody that hits that point in the flow will have the webhook triggered, which will then send a request to IgnitePOST, which will then actually send a real handwritten card on your behalf to your contact correctly. So after you do that, you're done. And I'm super excited to see how this turns out for everyone. And I'm really excited to see what kind of use cases everybody comes up with. If you have any questions at all, at any time, you can always reach out to our support team. It's just support@ignitepost.com. We have this help article here. So if you have any questions about how to set up and send a handwritten card using Klaviyo's webhooks, feel free to reach out. But I'm really excited to see what everybody comes up with, and this is a super powerful feature. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.